I was sitting on the floor, eating cereal straight from the box, when she said it. No argument. No build-up. No dramatic pause. She was already putting on her shoes. I have plans with someone else tonight. That was it. Just tossed into the room like an empty wrapper. Like it didn't matter who heard it. Like it was weather. I remember staring at a single Cheerio stuck to my sock and thinking, of all moments, this one? Not during a fight. Not during some emotional confession. Just me, the floor, stale cereal, and her casually detonating our marriage. I didn't look up right away. I'm like that. Slow. Always slow. Words take a while to catch me. Emotions hit first, then logic limps in later, out of breath. Okay, I said. She froze. That wasn't the reaction she expected. She turned around, annoyed already. That's it. You're not even going to ask who. I shrugged. My throat felt tight, like I was swallowing cotton. Does it matter? She scoffed. God, you're impossible. This is why things are the way they are. There it was. Somehow, this was my fault already. She leaned against the doorframe, checking her reflection on her phone. I noticed her nails. Fresh. Dark blue. She'd told me she stopped getting them done to save money. I hated that I noticed things like that too late. I'll be back late, she said. Don't wait up. And that's when it happened. Not the sentence, the urge. The sudden, overwhelming urge to say something I wasn't supposed to say. Something I had practiced in my head a dozen times, but never believed I'd actually use. Still sitting on the floor, still holding the cereal box, I said it. Tell him he doesn't need to delete the messages anymore. His wife already sent them to me. The silence that followed wasn't loud. It was thick, like the room had turned solid. She didn't move. Not for a long time. Then, very slowly, she laughed. One short laugh. Sharp. Fake. That's not funny. I didn't mean it to be. Her phone slipped out of her hand and hit the floor. She stared at it like it had betrayed her. You went through my phone, she whispered. I finally looked up at her. My eyes burned. I hated that part, the crying eyes. I always cry when I don't want to. It ruins everything I'm trying to say. No, I said. I didn't have to. Her mouth opened, then closed again. She sat down on the arm of the couch, suddenly unsteady. I told her nothing else. I didn't explain. I didn't accuse. I didn't even stand up. And that terrified her more than yelling ever could. Because the truth was, I hadn't planned this moment. I didn't uncover some dramatic secret by hacking or spying. I didn't follow her. I didn't even suspect her in the way you see in movies. The truth came to me by accident. Quietly, patiently, like it had been waiting for the right second. And now, sitting there on the floor like a loser in mismatched socks, I realized something horrifying. She thought she was leaving me behind tonight. But she had no idea what she was walking straight into. She asked me one last question before grabbing her purse. Are you trying to scare me? I swallowed hard and shook my head. No, I said. I'm just done protecting you from the consequences. She left without another word. I stayed on the floor for a long time after the door closed, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, wondering how someone could plan an entire other life while you're still eating cereal beside them, and wondering how much worse it was about to get. I didn't move from the floor for maybe 20 minutes after she left. Not out of shock, not even heartbreak. I think I was just trying to process the weight of what had just happened. You ever feel like your entire marriage condensed into one moment? One sentence. I have plans with someone else tonight. That was the sum total of everything we'd built. 2 mortgages, 3 shared credit cards, a couple's Spotify playlist, reduced to one careless announcement tossed over her shoulder while she checked her lip gloss. I didn't plan revenge. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm the guy who overthinks text messages and rereads old emails. I'm the guy who used to pause our shows if she got up for snacks so she wouldn't miss anything. I'm not the cold, calculated type. But sometimes life doesn't ask if you're ready to become someone else. The reason I knew everything, her affair, the messages, the photos, was because someone told me. Not just anyone. His wife. The guy she was sneaking around with. His wife tracked me down 3 days earlier. Her name's Melanie. Found my name on a hotel receipt her husband stupidly paid for with a joint card. Dana and him had booked a weekend getaway 2 weeks ago, and he used our home address for billing security. Brilliant, right? Melanie called me. Calm. Cold. Said she wasn't planning to stay silent anymore. That she figured I deserved to know what kind of woman I married. At first, I didn't believe her. I wanted to hang up. But then she sent the screenshots. I didn't even know what hurt more. The fact that Dana had called me boring in one of the texts, or that she said she was only still married for the financial benefits. That part got me. It was so strategic, so emotionless, like I was a spreadsheet she needed to balance before cutting loose. I'd spent the last 3 days sitting with that knowledge, not confronting, not exploding, just waiting to see who she really was when she thought I didn't know. And tonight, I got my answer. She didn't even blink. I guess what hit the hardest was realizing I didn't matter to her enough to lie properly. No effort to protect me. No attempt to ease the blow. Just I have plans. Just a dress, some perfume, and a ride waiting outside that wasn't mine. But my words landed. I know they did. When I told her about the messages, I saw her world stutter. Her hand trembled slightly when she grabbed her purse, and she didn't meet my eyes once on the way out. That told me everything. I stood up eventually, put the cereal away, wiped down the counter like it was a normal Tuesday night. Then I texted Melanie. Told her, she's gone. Let's finish this. We had a plan, and I was done being the passive husband in the background. If Dana wanted a night with someone else, I'd give her exactly that. She just didn't realize it would come with a price. I don't think she expected me to do anything. That's what stings the most. After all the years, the shared holidays, the emergency vet visits at 3 a.m., the anniversaries that I always remembered and she occasionally forgot. She looked at me like a man who would just stay quiet and disappear into the wallpaper. And I almost did. Almost. But by the time she got into that car, I had already set the wheels in motion. Melanie had been waiting in her SUV 3 blocks down, engine off, lights out. We'd coordinated everything down to the minute. It felt crazy, yes, but also weirdly necessary. Two strangers tied together by betrayal, now working together like secret agents, both exhausted, both done being collateral damage. She followed them, carefully, quietly, and I sat in the house staring at the wall, waiting for the next text like it was a countdown to impact. It came at 7:48 p.m. Hotel Indigo, room 312. They're checking in now. That was it. No drama. No essay. Melanie was efficient. I just sat there holding the phone like it weighed 100 pounds. I don't know why I hesitated. I think part of me still didn't want to know. Not fully. Like seeing it would make it permanent. Make it real. Up until that point, it was screenshots and suspicion. But I needed the truth to hit me so hard that I'd never forget. I needed that final nail in the coffin so that when I walked away, I wouldn't carry a single doubt with me. So I got in my car and drove. Hotel Indigo was just 20 minutes away. I barely remember the ride. I must have stopped at 2 red lights longer than necessary, my fingers twitching on the steering wheel like they were trying to punch something that wasn't there. I wasn't angry, not in the screaming, throw a chair kind of way. I was gutted, hollowed out, like my body was still here, but the man she married had already left the building. I parked and headed inside with nothing but my phone and the confirmation Melanie had texted me. She'd seen them go into room 312. Together, laughing. When I got to the hallway, my legs went stiff, like my body wanted to turn around. But I kept going. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again. This time, I heard whispering, a shuffle, then silence. I stood there, heart pounding like it was trying to break out of my chest, and I said just 3 words through the door. Quiet, even. Open the door. I waited. And then, the door cracked. Not wide. Just enough for her face to appear. And what I saw wasn't guilt or panic. It was pure horror. Like she'd seen a ghost. Like something inside her brain shattered and couldn't reassemble fast enough. Her lipstick was smeared. Hair slightly undone. That damn emerald dress hanging off her shoulder like it was tired too. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. Because from the corner of the doorframe, I saw a man's jacket. It wasn't mine. I didn't scream. I didn't make a scene. I just looked at her, then handed her something. A plain white envelope. Inside was a printed copy of the property deed. Her name was no longer on it. I'd already filed the paperwork. Quietly, cleanly, legally. She hadn't noticed. I'd also separated the bank accounts. She never paid attention to the paperwork, just handed it to me to sign and smiled. She looked down at it like it was in a foreign language. What is this? I smiled for the first time in weeks. You have plans tonight. So do I. Then I turned around and walked out. No yelling. No drama. Just a man who had finally stopped hoping the truth wasn't true. I didn't look back. Not once. But I knew she was watching me walk away. And for the first time, she was the one who had to sit in silence. By the time I got back to the car, my hands were shaking. Not because I regretted what I did, but because I knew that walking away from her in that hotel hallway wasn't the end. Not even close. It was the beginning of something colder, quieter. She had no idea what I had done in the background over the past 3 days. Honestly, I didn't even know I was capable of it until I realized she was never coming back. Not emotionally, not as a partner, not as someone who saw me as hers. I sat behind the wheel, staring at my reflection in the rearview mirror. My face looked like it belonged to someone older. Tired. But there was something else. A look I hadn't seen in months. Control. For once, I wasn't just reacting. I was choosing. My phone buzzed. Melanie, did she open the door? I replied with one word. Yes. Then I added, it's your turn now. Melanie had her own plans, more brutal, in some ways. I wasn't going to tell her what to do with the proof she had. That was her marriage. Her war. But the look on Dana's face when she saw that envelope? That was the moment I knew she finally understood I wasn't going to be her safety net anymore. And the fallout had already started. When I got home, I noticed it immediately. One of the framed photos on the entryway table was gone. The one of us at Lake George. I guess she had grabbed it when she left earlier. I stood there staring at the empty space where it used to be, trying to figure out if I felt angry or relieved. The truth? I felt nothing. The next morning, it began. She didn't come home that night, but she texted at 6:12 a.m. Can we talk? I didn't answer. At 7:01. I don't understand what you handed me last night. Can we please talk? Still nothing. 8:16. You went through my stuff? That's so messed up. She was already spiraling, flipping between guilt and gaslighting like she didn't know which one would stick. I muted the thread. Instead, I focused on my own next move, because the truth is, I had been working with someone else, too. My cousin Isaac, who just so happens to be a divorce attorney. He'd already looked over my prenup and the updated property documents. Dana thought we split everything 50-50. She forgot about the clause we added after her second job promotion, the one that kicked in if either party violated exclusivity. Her signature was on it. Twice. She never reads fine print. By noon, Dana was calling. I didn't pick up. At 1:32, she showed up at the house. I watched from the upstairs hallway window as she banged on the front door, yelling my name. I could hear her voice rising with panic. She looked unhinged, like reality had just caught up with her and it wasn't wearing makeup anymore. She tried calling through the mail slot. I didn't answer. And when she finally sat down on the porch, crying into her hands like she was the one who got betrayed, all I could do was sit on the stairs, listening. Not because I wanted to forgive her, but because I wanted to remember this moment. Her finally feeling what I had felt in silence for months. And I wasn't even close to finished. She sat out there for over an hour, just sobbing into her palms on the porch like the victim in someone else's story. I watched her through the blinds the way you'd watch a raccoon trying to open your trash can, curious, disgusted, and hoping it eventually gives up and leaves. But she didn't. She stayed, calling my name, then whispering it, then sitting in silence like I might magically change my mind if she just waited long enough. She had no clue how far past forgiveness I already was. When she finally got up, she didn't leave. No, she circled the house, checked the windows, tried the side door. It didn't matter. Every lock had already been changed the day before, and my security cameras caught it all, her tugging at handles like some frantic burglar in heels. I almost laughed. I really did. And then, right as I thought she'd given up, my phone buzzed again. One word. From her. Why? That was it. Just that. As if she didn't know. As if she could blow up a marriage like it was a weekend plan and expect me to stay in the ashes with her. I didn't respond. But part of me wanted to. I wanted to say, why? Because you broke me, Dana. Slowly. Quietly. With every lie you told like it was a joke you never planned to explain. But instead, I called Isaac, my cousin, my lawyer, and told him to send the official packet. She'd be served within 48 hours. Still, it wasn't over. Not even close. That night, Melanie called. Her voice was calm, almost eerie. She tried to message me, she said. Told me I ruined everything. I asked her what she said back. Melanie paused. I told her she ruined herself. I just handed her the mirror. And that's exactly what we were doing, showing them who they really were when no one was clapping for them anymore. The next morning, Dana emailed me from a different address. It was a long message, rambly, erratic. She said she made a mistake, that it wasn't serious with the guy, that she was just trying to feel something again, that I had changed and she didn't know how to reach me. The usual blame shift sandwiched between recycled regrets. She said she wanted to talk. In person. One last time. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded the email to Isaac. And then, I did something I hadn't done in months. I went to the beach. Alone. I sat on a bench, jacket zipped up to my chin, wind cold against my skin. I listened to the waves and watched seagulls argue over a torn bag of chips. I breathed. Really breathed, for the first time in ages. And it hit me. Peace doesn't come from getting even. It comes from getting out. Dana thought she had the upper hand because she left first. What she didn't realize was that the man she left had already planned his exit, too. And unlike her, I wasn't looking back. 2 days after she tried to get back into the house, she was officially served at her office. I didn't know that would sting her as badly as it did, but apparently, being handed divorce papers in front of your coworkers makes it harder to keep pretending everything's fine. I didn't do it to humiliate her. I did it because she kept saying, "We need to talk," like we were in a slow-motion argument that still had a resolution. There was no we anymore. She just hadn't caught up to that part yet. That same afternoon, her sister called me. Now that was unexpected. Her sister, Tanya, and I were never particularly close. Cordial at holidays, mostly neutral. But her voice on the phone wasn't neutral now. It was shaking. She told me everything blew up, but she didn't say why. I only got the full story today. From Melanie. Ah, yes. Melanie, the angel of exposure. She had sent Dana's entire message thread to her husband's family. And apparently, one of them forwarded it to Tanya, who then saw everything. Every photo, every cringe-inducing, "You make me feel alive," text Dana had sent to a man who wore loafers without socks. Tanya didn't even try to defend her. I just called to say, "I don't blame you," she said. "She's not the person I thought she was." I thanked her, then hung up and stared at the wall for a while. Because as validating as it was to have someone acknowledge the damage, it didn't undo the quiet war I'd been fighting alone for months. You know what's worse than being betrayed? Being made to feel crazy for noticing. Being told you're insecure, jealous, imagining things, when your instincts were actually spot on the whole time. And speaking of instincts, I finally did what I'd been putting off. I posted everything on Reddit. Not names, not details that would violate privacy, just the truth. The full story, laid out in a quiet, bitter post on one of those late-night threads where people read and don't reply, but everyone feels it. I wrote it like a confession, but not of guilt, of endurance. The post blew up overnight. Over 10,000 upvotes. Hundreds of comments. Some angry. Some heartbreaking. A few asking if I'd take her back if she truly meant it. I didn't respond to any of them. I just read. Quietly. Wordlessly. Letting the world confirm what I already knew. I wasn't alone. And I wasn't wrong. The next morning, Dana showed up at my work. My coworkers were stunned. She looked put together, too put together, actually. Full makeup, that same emerald dress, like she thought this was a movie scene and not the final act of a relationship she burned to the ground. 5 minutes, she begged. Just 5. My manager asked if I was okay. I nodded, led her to the side hallway, and waited. She stared at me like she didn't recognize the man standing in front of her. "I don't know what I was thinking," she started. "It wasn't supposed to go this far. I just felt stuck." I didn't say anything. She kept going. "I thought you didn't care anymore. You got so quiet. You stopped asking where I was going. You just let me drift." That's when I laughed. It just came out. "I didn't stop asking," I said. "You stopped answering. And eventually, I just decided to start listening instead." She reached for my hand. I stepped back. And then I said it. The one thing I knew she wasn't ready for. "I forgive you. But I don't trust you. And I don't miss you. Not anymore." She blinked, like the words didn't register at first. Then she nodded slowly. And without another word, she walked out of my life, for the second and final time. I didn't go back inside right away after Dana left my workplace. I stood outside in the parking lot, staring up at the clouds. Funny how even the sky looks different once you've cut ties with someone who made your world feel small. I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I wasn't even relieved. I was just empty. But not the kind of empty you dread. More like the first quiet after a storm has passed. Like the air is finally still enough to breathe again. I sat in my car for almost an hour. No music. No podcasts. Just me and the silence I used to be terrified of when she started staying out late. That silence used to mean something's wrong. Now it meant peace. I opened my phone, scrolled to her contact, and hovered over the delete button. And yeah, I hesitated. Not because I wanted her back. God, no. But because it felt like erasing the last trace of the life I thought we had. But then I thought about the night she said she had plans with someone else, while I was on the living room floor fixing the broken leg of our coffee table. I remembered the smirk, the carelessness, the total dismissal of me like I was just furniture she'd outgrown. And suddenly, it was easy. I deleted her number like I was brushing lint off my sleeve. Quick, effortless, necessary. That evening, I called Melanie. Not for revenge. Just to talk. Just to say thank you. We both laughed about how surreal it all was. How our spouses thought they were being so clever, sneaking around while we were putting dinner on the table or folding their laundry. She told me she was moving out next week, taking their dog and half the furniture. She sounded tired but hopeful, like someone who'd finally stopped apologizing to herself for staying too long. You know, she said toward the end of the call, I think you and I made it out just in time, before they could take anything else from us. I didn't respond, but I agreed with her in silence. Later that night, I did something Dana never once asked me to do in 5 years of marriage. I opened a blank journal and started writing about what I wanted. Not from her, not from a future partner, just from life, from myself. I wrote, I want someone who doesn't weaponize silence. I want to stop doubting my gut when it whispers. I want peace to be the default, not the exception. I want my love to matter to someone who doesn't throw it away like loose change. It sounds dramatic, but when you've spent months in a house full of lies, even writing in your own handwriting feels like taking back power. The next day, I got a message on Reddit. One of the readers from my original post. She said, your story helped me realize I'm not crazy for feeling the distance. I just didn't have proof until now. She attached a photo of a man I didn't know, her husband's coworker, and a selfie she'd found in his hidden album. She said reading what I wrote gave her the courage to stop ignoring the signs. That message hit me harder than anything Dana ever said, because that's when I realized something strange had happened. I wasn't just a man crawling out of wreckage. I had unknowingly become a signal flare for others still trapped inside their burning homes. And maybe, just maybe, I wasn't done yet. 2 months later, I stood barefoot in a new apartment, drinking cheap coffee from a chipped mug, and smiling like an idiot at nothing in particular. The air smelled like fresh paint and eucalyptus. My cousin Isaac helped me move in last weekend, and we both agreed. This place didn't have ghosts. Just possibility. I'd gotten everything finalized. The divorce went through cleanly, faster than expected, actually. Dana didn't contest it. Not after everything went public. She never tried to fight for anything in the end. Not the house. Not even me. And honestly, that made things easier. I didn't see her again. Didn't hear from her, either. The messages eventually stopped. Maybe she moved on. Maybe she realized the damage she'd done couldn't be undone with tears and apologies delivered too late. But that wasn't my story to worry about anymore. Mine had finally taken a different turn. One afternoon, I went to the same beach I sat at the night after she showed up at work. This time, I brought a book, some snacks, and a journal that was starting to fill up with things that had nothing to do with her. I wrote about the future, not the past. Wrote about how I wanted to learn to cook real meals. About how I was thinking of adopting a dog. About maybe taking a road trip with no plan, no destination, just the freedom to go and stop wherever I wanted. And here's the twist I didn't expect. A few weeks ago, I started seeing someone. No big love story. Not yet. Just coffee at a bookstore one rainy Thursday, and a conversation that went on so long the place closed around us. Her name's Lacey. She's kind, thoughtful, quiet in a way that makes me lean in instead of feel pushed away. I haven't told her everything yet, and I don't plan to anytime soon. I want this to be about her, not the mess I came from. But I will say this. She asks how my day was, and she listens. Really listens. Like I'm not just background noise in her busy life. It's a small thing, but after everything Dana put me through, it feels revolutionary. For the first time in years, I'm not just surviving. I'm living. No lies. No double lives. No plans that I'm not a part of. Just me. Healing. Growing. Building something that's mine again. And if you're reading this, maybe sitting in the same kind of silence I once was, wondering if you're crazy or weak or overreacting, I promise you're not. You're just waking up. And when you finally stand up and walk away from the person who made you feel small, you'll be shocked how big your world becomes again. I thought losing her would break me. But the truth is, she only made room for better.